basically, I'm unemployed. YouTube, welcome. It's Family Man Jay here, back with another video. Today, what I wanted to talk about is, something that me and my family are dealing with right now. We're just in the process of kind of figuring things out, and it's a big change. It's actually something major. So, I wanted to bring it to you guys and see, what maybe you guys are doing, what I'm doing, and let you guys know how I'm doing it. So let's get into it. Right now, in my life, as a you know about to be 39-year old, close to 40. um, I'm actually in between business, in between work. So right now I'm 39 years old, and I'm about to be on a full restart mode. Like restart, rebrand almost. Um, Basically, I'm unemployed. So I, I'm just like, I have investments, I have money coming in, passive income already. So I'm not, it's not an emergency for me like it would be for some others. But it is crazy, for me to think that at 39, I'm having to do a restart, what would I call it? A reset of work anyway. When it comes to work, my life, I'm happy with my life is great. But when it comes to work, right now I'm just relying on my passive income. you know but that's something that I wanted to be transparent about with you guys. And you guys can see me on my journey. I'm going to be documenting it, and letting you guys know every step of the way. Right, this is actually very good for my channel. So hopefully you guys like it, hopefully you guys tune in. So when I say reset, for me, resetting isn't like, oh my God, I had a life crisis, I had a divorce, I, I don't know where I'm going, I don't have a home, I have to sell my house or any of this. That's not what I mean when I say reset. For me, my reset is business only. So I'm figuring out what I'm going to do next in business, what I'm going to invest in that's going to take me to a next level, right? So for me, I always judge it by levels. You know, whenever I get to a reset in my life, I'm going to a next level. It's not a reset that, oh, oh man, life is coming down on me, everything is about to blow, which happens with some people. And if that's you, it's not no discredit to anybody, because everybody goes through things, right? I've had moments where I've, panicked, and I've had, stressful times. So definitely, I'm not knocking anybody's stress. I'm just, letting you guys know that my reset is different than some others' resets. Why I'm resetting is because for the last 6 years, I've been doing property management. And in my city, a lot of the properties that I'm dealing with, I had about 125 doors. A lot of those doors are the doors that nobody else wants, right? So I started my business because friends of mine were investing in the inner city, and they know that I have roots in the inner city, right? So people renting and whatnot, those people are kind of my people. It's crazy to say, crazy enough to say, but yeah. So they were investing in the inner city. The opportunity arose where nobody wanted to take these properties. They had property management companies either turn them down or take the property, and then it just became a big mess. So I stepped in with my um, with my experience, having my own rental properties. I was able to kind of turn it into a business, right? So I took an experience that I had in life by investments and things that I made and being a landlord already, and I turned it into a business. See, like, I took something that I already was doing, an investment that I had already made, and because I wasn't paying anybody to manage my properties, all I had to do, I was already managing my own property. So it was something I looked at as, wow, like this is something I can do. This is something that I can turn into a lucrative business, right? So anyway, I took on started about 50 doors. Um, and these guys just kept investing. They kept on referring me to other people in their circle, and I grew pretty quickly. Um, but like anything, with fast growth becomes bigger problems. A lot of problems can arise with that, right? So about 3 years in, things are going great, but the properties are more and more run down. These guys are asking like very, very tall tasks from anybody. That's, you wonder why a company will say no. This is why. You can see, you see these hairs here, you see these hair. Yeah, my whole head is full of grays, and I attribute that all to the property management thing. Yeah, I'm 39, but if I show you pictures from before I started, my beard is black. There's zero grays. So yeah, um, definitely a stressful business. And I'm right now I'm in between because I have a few doors that I'm still dealing with, but I'm definitely I'm getting out of this shit, man. I'm done. I'm done with it, right? So right now, being in between, I'm basically unemployed. Um, I don't really have a clear plan. I know that me and my family we have discussed some things, and you know, right now, we're thinking of we're gonna take a big leap and probably change our scenery. We're probably gonna move to another city and try our hand out there. What better time than when we're in between? So I feel like that's a great outlook that we have, and we're blessed to be fortunate enough to actually have that option, right? So yeah, that's something that I've been dealing with. I'm grateful for that opportunity. It was a challenging opportunity. It was a challenge that I gave myself, and I felt like I was successful at it. And in the end, things aren't they're not really working out for me. But for me, it's more of a mental thing. My mental space was getting clouded, and the stress is something that I can't even describe. Like I think it's because a few of these guys were friends of mine, and like I felt like me taking on these properties, I had to you know take on the stress of them and take on the burden of oh man, are these guys going to be able to pay their mortgages, or or if these guys don't pay their rent, like what am I supposed to do? How do I tell them? And I made it personal, and that was a mistake on my end for sure. That was definitely a mistake on my end. But that's why I'm just like, you know what, it's time to move on from that. I tried it, it was successful. I don't look at it as a failure, I look at it as an attempt at something new. um, and I learned from it, and now I could take a lot of those skills and I could turn it into something else. My advice that I would give to anybody who's starting over, or starting a new business, or doing a new journey in life, I think the number one thing is, do not panic. Do not panic. Do not stress. Because I think that those two things can create, you know, a cesspool for destruction and failure. When you panic or you stress, you make poor decisions, and that's the biggest recipe for disaster, right? You know, if you've never been self-employed or started any type of business or made any type of investments, you don't want to just rush into it. When you rush into it, I've done it, and there's a lot of things that I wish that I could have redone, but there's a lot of things that I did, and they turned out. So you got to have a risk tolerance. um I think that anybody going through anything like I'm going through or I've been through, uh, the number one thing is just be persistent, be consistent. Consistency, persistency, motivation, you gotta have it all. You gotta go for it. You gotta go for it. Like I always say, anything is possible. Another piece of advice that I would give is just always be ready to pivot. When something doesn't feel like it's working out, pivot. Either change how you're doing it, change your scenery, change. Changing things is not always a bad thing. When you change is always good. In my experience, change is always good. Change only brings more fortune, you know. You can't be scared of change because things change every day, Like if you're going for something, if you've been doing something for years, what me and my wife always say is, if I'm going to do the same thing for years, then I'm just being still. And being still ain't doing shit in life. So I always encourage change. Get outside of your comfort. Go for it. Do whatever you want to do in life. Try. I'm doing YouTube. I never picture myself doing this. So, you know, change is always good. Never be afraid to pivot, man. Pivot is, you gotta be a master of the pivot, man. I'm a master of the pivot. I gotta pivot because if things ain't working, I'm a provider. I got 4 kids. I got a wife that they need me. I got family that need me. So I gotta provide for everybody, right? I try and take care of everybody that I can. And I'm raising men. I want them to be the same way. My wife doesn't work, you know. I'm the provider here. So just a word of advice is just know when to pivot, know when to change. Throughout my whole life, my careers, um, I've had different businesses. I've started from scratch many times. From eavesdropping. I had an eavesdropping company that me and a partner of mine had, and we built up, and I was running it for about 10 years before I started investing into real estate and things like that. Um, and I've started that. We've done the property management. I uh, I helped my father with the career business when I was in my 20s, early 20s, and yeah, recently I was able to help my sons because they became men. My oldest son is 20 years old, and his brother next in line to him is 17. So recently we started a business for them, which was a junk removal business, Triple F Hauling. Shout out Triple F. But yeah, I have experience in starting something new, right? So I'm never scared. It's it's a process, but for me, because I've always had that mentality. My mentality has always been, I gotta figure it out. I can't soak and weep, and I'm never gonna work for nobody. I ain't working for nobody in my life. Sorry. I'll be nothing before I work for a company, you know? But and I'm not hating on nobody who works for no company. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying for me, I've never been a worker. I would rather start something than do it myself, right? So that's just where I stand in life, and yeah, I'm not scared. This journey is crazy. It's it's looking great, like my outlook is great, and I see big things in the future. And I'm not scared. I'm not scared at all. I know that I got my family with me. We have investments already, we have passive income, so we're not struggling by any means. But not having that income coming in, it's like, it's different. It's different. So I hope that anything that I'm saying can be, of help. Or, hey, if you got any advice for me, you got any ideas for me, hey, drop them in the comments, right? But yeah, I'm gonna leave it there, and hopefully you all come with me on this journey of restarting, resetting, my journey, my reset, my big reset at 40 years old. So hopefully by my 40th birthday, you're gonna see a whole new me, whole different me, right? Y'all are gonna see it every step of the way, right? So hopefully y'all come with me. I'll be documenting everything and every step of the way, and letting y'all know where, if I mess up, or if I any type of new info that I got, I'll be letting y'all know. I'll be filling y'all in. So rock with me. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, and let's get this money, man. Let's get to it.